still remember the first day I stepped into that classroom. The walls were pale, cracked with time, and the ceiling fans groaned every time they rotated. I was new at that school, and being the transfer student, I didn't know much about the building's history. What no one told me, at least not directly, was that room 7 had a story of its own. From the outside, it looked ordinary, an old classroom with rusted grills on the windows and faded paint. But as soon as I stepped in, I felt an unnatural chill in the air, as if someone had opened a door to winter while the sun outside was burning hot. My classmates whispered among themselves, their eyes darting toward the far right corner of the room, where an empty desk sat, untouched, unclaimed. That was the desk I was asked to sit at. At first, I thought nothing of it. Maybe it was just coincidence, maybe it was simply the last empty seat. But as the day went on, I started noticing small, unsettling things. My chair would creak even when I sat completely still. My books would slide to the edge of the desk as if nudged by invisible fingers. And every so often, I felt a faint breath against the back of my neck, like someone whispering without words. When I asked my seat partner about it, she gave me a nervous smile and said, "Don't worry, you'll get used to her." Her? Who? I asked, but she just looked away, pretending to be busy with her notebook. That was the moment I realized I wasn't alone in room 7. The first week in room 7 was unsettling, but I tried to ignore the strange incidents. I kept telling myself that it was just nerves from being new, just my imagination trying to scare me. But the more I tried to dismiss it, the stronger the presence became. On the third day, while our teacher was writing on the blackboard, I suddenly heard the sound of chalk scratching behind me. I turned, confused, because all my classmates were facing forward. That's when I noticed it. On the small, broken blackboard that hung on the wall beside my desk, faint white letters were forming. "Get out." I blinked hard, rubbed my eyes, and when I looked again, the writing was gone. My heart pounded in my chest, and I tried to steady my breath. Nobody else seemed to have noticed. Was I the only one seeing this? That night, when I told my mother about it, she laughed gently. "It's just stress. New school, new classmates. You'll be fine." But I wasn't fine. The next morning, I arrived earlier than usual. The corridors were quiet, and the classrooms empty. I walked into room 7, sunlight spilling through the windows, dust floating in the air. The atmosphere was almost peaceful. For a moment, I wondered if maybe I had overreacted. But then I noticed something strange. The desk where I sat looked cleaner than the others. No dust, no scratches, as if someone had polished it overnight. On the wooden surface, faint carvings appeared, letters that spelled a name. Aisha. My breath caught in my throat. Who was Aisha? When the other students arrived, I finally gathered the courage to ask. My seat partner froze, her face pale. She leaned close and whispered, "Don't say her name too loudly. It makes her angry." I was stunned. But who was she? She hesitated, glancing nervously at the corner of the room. She was a student. 3 years ago. She died in this very classroom. The words hit me like ice water. My throat went dry. Died? How? During an exam, she whispered. She was under a lot of pressure, they said. Nobody knows exactly what happened. Some say she had a heart attack. Others, that she saw something no one else could. She collapsed at that desk, and she never got up again. I felt the blood drain from my face. My desk. The same desk that a week later, things took a darker turn. It was after school, and I had stayed late to finish a project. The corridors were empty, the school strangely silent. As I gathered my books, I realized the classroom door had closed on its own. I laughed nervously and reached for the handle. It didn't budge. The door was locked. Panic surged through me. I rattled the handle harder, but it wouldn't open. I banged on the door, shouting, but no one answered. My phone had no signal. I was trapped. That's when the temperature dropped. A shiver ran down my spine as the lights above began to flicker. My books slid off the desk and scattered on the floor. The blackboard, which had been wiped clean earlier, now had words scrawled across it in jagged handwriting. You took my place. Tears welled in my eyes. I shook my head, whispering, No, I didn't take anything. The chalk lifted by itself, dragging across the board with an unbearable screech. The sound made my teeth ache, my skin crawl. The words grew clearer, more violent. You sit where I died. Suddenly, the windows slammed shut, one after another, the sound echoing like gunshots. The fans above began spinning wildly, though no electricity seemed to flow. Papers flew in every direction, and the air grew so cold I could see my breath. Then I heard it, the sound of footsteps. Slow, barefoot, dragging across the floor. I turned my head slowly, every muscle in my body trembling. She was standing there, a girl, maybe 16 or 17, wearing the same uniform as ours, but her skirt was torn, her shirt stained. Her long black hair hung over her face, dripping as if wet. Her skin was pale, bluish, and her eyes were hollow, black voids that pulled me in. I froze, my body refusing to move. She tilted her head, bones cracking with the sound, and whispered in a voice that wasn't human, low, distorted, echoing inside my skull. Give it back. I wanted to scream, but no sound came out. My legs felt heavy, rooted to the floor. Suddenly, the classroom lights exploded, plunging the room into darkness. I could only see her faint silhouette, closer now, her cold breath brushing against my ear. Give it back, or stay with me forever. At that moment, the door burst open, and the janitor's flashlight beam cut through the darkness. He stared at me in shock as I collapsed onto the floor, gasping for air. When I looked back, she was gone. But the name carved into my desk burned brighter than ever, etched deeper into the wood, impossible to erase. Aisha.